Who do they think they are? I've given the best years of my life to this place, and they think they can just fire me like that? Like trash? I don't think so.
Is that you?
I've been waiting for you, Patrick!
So a Pokemon suffering from power creep is one thing, but a Pokemon actively getting nerfed by Game Freak is a whole nother thing, because it feels like you're partly being betrayed by your own creator. So we're going to be looking at these nerfs and asking what if it never happened. Darkrai. Darkrai is known for two things: Bad Dream plus Dark Void and a Snatched Waist. But yeah, Darkrai pretty much claimed to fame is his ability to not just put Pokemon to sleep, but recover HP from it. Sure, Darkrai was fast and a great special attacker, but there is a lot of Pokemon who can do that. You're not special. People ran him for Dark Void, essentially. Now, lots of Pokemon have access to sleeping moves, but what set Darkrai apart from others is that he's actually really only reliable fast sleeper, having a 125 speed stat. Meanwhile, almost every other sleeper in competitive would take like 20 minutes to run a mile. This is what made Darkrai a good Pokemon, specifically in Gen 4. So how did it go from one of the best DPP Uber Pokemon to being ranked OU? Well, let me present to you Smeargle. Smeargle is a terrible Pokemon in every sense in the world. However, he has one interesting trait, which is that he can learn almost every single move, and that's including Dark Void. Now we're going to take a step away from singles and explore VGC. Now in singles, Smeargle is a very bad Pokemon that only annoying people use. But in VGC, he's a good Pokemon that only annoying people use. So for context, in VGC, there's no sleep clause, and Dark Void is actually a move that hits both targets at the same time, which at this point has 80% accuracy. So if you're a VGC player that harbors hatred in your heart, you're going to run Smeargle Dark Void. So what we can see now is an instance of singles being caught in the crosshairs between Nintendo and VGC. Because Smeargle was such a problem, they nerfed Dark Void from 80% accuracy to 50, a literal coin flip. This is quite literally like when the whole class is punished for what one F student did. And that's the thing, Darkrai is not overpowered at all. He did not need this. He already was being outdone by Yveltal and threatened by Xerneas, easily taken out by Extreme Speed Arceus as well. Like, he was already suffering. They kicked him while he was already down. This is like picking a kid last in dodgeball and then sniping him immediately. This is like giving Avalugg another form only to give him an even worse typing. It was not necessary. This is like Batman not saving Red Hood and then beating the hell out of him. It was not necessary. To make it worse, Darkrai can't even use Hypnosis now in Gen 9 because it was banned, which I honestly don't have a problem with. I just feel bad for Darkrai. Him and me have both been having a really bad year. I feel you, man. Like, the last time he was actually good was Generation 4, and that was a long time ago. How long ago was it? Well, for context, I was alive, but I wasn't conscious. That's how long ago it was. So let's say it was never nerfed. Well, unpopular opinion, I'm not sure, but I do believe that Darkrai would have fallen to OU. Maybe not this gen, but definitely at some point, maybe Gen 10. I already alluded to Darkrai not being super top tier in Ubers, but let's look at that a bit more. See, the last gen before Dark Void was nerfed was Generation 6, only 2 gens after it was introduced. I mentioned Pokemon that Darkrai didn't appreciate, like Xerneas and Yveltal, but honestly, we don't even need to reach that far because those are top tier Pokemon that threaten everyone. You know who was really the best counter to Darkrai? It was a sentient keychain. On top of that, in Generation 6, a Pokemon sleep counter no longer resets when it switches out. So not really a nerf directly, but it didn't help at all. I think a lot of people kind of overreacted to this nerf a bit. I think it wasn't much that it really hurt Darkrai in practice, more in theory. Like, people were more offended than anything.
You need to leave!
Situation, because like hypothetical. Let's ask 10 players in Gen 6 if they were actively running Darkrai. Most of them are gonna say no. Like, if anything, again, it was more in theory that it hurt. It was like if Game Freak had literally neutered Darkrai. Next is Gengar. Having Levitate replaced with Curse Body. This was not necessary. I know I'm the one making this video, but actually, I don't even know what the logic behind this was. For some lore, Gengar was an amazing Pokemon since its inception. It was fast, strong, and while it wasn't particularly bulky, with correct investment and access to Will-O-Wisp, utility Gengar was definitely real, and he definitely would hurt you. So Levitate, with Gengar being immune to ground-type moves and everything, that was great. His only weakness was Dark and Psychic. It's what made him capable of switching into Scarfed or Choice Banded threats, ruling the tiers of 3 and 4 who would spam Earthquake, like Tyranitar, Flygon, and Garchomp. It was also a frail Pokemon, which means that, I repeat, it wasn't overpowered. I'm not kidding when I say that Gengar was unanimously the best poison type for so long, and the main reason was primarily its immunity to ground types. I don't know how else I could say this, but Levitate to Gengar was like the Sharingan to the Uchihas, or the Byakugan to the Hyugas, or Plat Armor to Batman. So Curse Body just didn't make sense. I explained why Darkrai was nerfed, but I don't know why Gengar was nerfed. Now you might be asking, why was he nerfed? I explained Darkrai. Why can't I explain Gengar? Well, that's a very interesting question. See, the reason is just I don't know. I literally do not know. I searched it up and the only results were like, they wanted to take away his immunity to ground, which like, it low-key pissed me off because that's not an answer, that's an observation. I'm looking for an answer to that observation. In general, it didn't need to be done. But Gengar was already a really common threat that was pretty easily sniped through Pursuit and very easily targeted by the newly buffed Knockoff. If you ask anyone why Gengar fell from OU to UU, they would probably say, well, because of Curse Body. But arguably, the power creep itself would have already been enough, just without the nerf. If it was a Pokemon that was getting better and better over time, like Gliscor, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I understand why it was nerfed. But it was not getting better, like, just like every Pokemon, it was suffering a bit from power creep. Still good, but suffering, so what if it was never nerfed? Well, like I said, it definitely wouldn't be OU by Gen 9, which isn't an insult, it's just the truth. But it would definitely be at the very least UU instead of RU like it is now. For a Pokemon introduced all the way in Generation 1, it's honestly super impressive. But yeah, as much as we can romanticize the idea of a Levitate Gengar, with the other ghost types flying around like Dragapult, Petrant, and everything and the dark types of Gen 9, it would definitely be kept in check. But if there was any Pokemon who did not deserve to be nerfed, it was Gengar. Greninja. Greninja is one of Pokemon's golden boys, and like the rest of Game Freak's favorite children, it was given preferential treatment.
So heavy! I can't hang on!
Pretend I'm your child, Lois. Nutmeg, nutmeg!
Being given basically a pseudo-mega and a gimmick which was Terra on SARMs, but before Terra was even a thing. I don't know what Greninja did to anger the higher-ups at Nintendo. Maybe Greninja tried to stop Nintendo from suing a school for using Mario, but he got the nerf of all time. Greninja got nerfed not once but twice in the same gen. Obviously, I do not need to tell you how it was nerfed. Battle Bond got turned into a glorified Moxie, and Protein now only works once. And not every single time you click a new move, so intense glowdown. To be fair, these are great, but a shell of what it used to be. I think the reason it stung more was because Greninja wasn't in Gen 8, so everyone was super excited to use it again, only for this glorified Kecleon to be brought back. To step away from just the competitive aspect of the game, I'm personally just very surprised that this happened, because since when does Nintendo nerf its own cash cow? Not only is it worse competitively, but it's also less fun to play in a game. This leads me to wonder if it was for the sake of balancing VGC, which honest to God, I don't really understand. You're gonna have to tell me. I'm more of a singles girl, as you guys know. Now, you guys need to enlighten me. Consider how great it was in Gen 7 and how offensively oriented Gen 9 has shaped up to be. I don't think it's an absurd thing to say that Greninja would actually still be thriving in Generation 9 if it wasn't nerfed. However, I think that it would be kept in check by other Pokemon, as well as considering just how insane hard predicts are in this gen, with the abundance of sets that every Pokemon has, I think it would fit right in. And let's not pretend like Meowscarada and Cinderace aren't literally the exact same thing. That's just a slap in the face. They literally said copy-paste, not once, but twice. 2 gens in a row. Say what you want about Greninja, but at least he wasn't furry bait. Never mind. Honestly, as much as I like Greninja, a part of me is maybe not happy, but like, I guess understandable why it got nerfed. Like, it's good as a UU Pokemon. I know sometimes seeing Pokemon fall to UU makes people think that these Pokemon are now completely bad or mid, but I think that's a way too simplistic way to view things. I don't know if I would say that the nerf was deserved. Actually, I do know. It wasn't deserved. It wasn't deserved at all. But maybe it's not as bad as people make it out to be. That was my list of Pokemon that were nerfed, and what would have happened if Nintendo had some sense and never gave these Pokemon these nerfs. I know there's plenty more, honestly, like Aegislash, or for example, Zoroark being introduced in the gen where Team Preview no longer was a thing, or Regigigas even having slow start. So let me know any others or if you want me to do a part 2.